What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're on to the semi-finals of the Rugby World Cup. We're going to be doing another preview today, checking out the teams that have been announced for both sides. Have a run through of the players who we think some good picks, some bad picks, some changes that have happened to the teams. Go over what we think might happen in this game, a couple of the key action areas, and of course, giving a score prediction. Argentina versus New Zealand is going to be our first semi-final of the weekend. I don't know if you can hear it on the mic. There is currently like a thunderstorm going on outside. I'm hoping that's some sort of symbolism that we're going to have a really awesome weekend of rugby again. I'm still ill. I'm still going on with this cold. I don't know when it's going to end. My body feels like Marcus Smith's face at the end of that Fiji game in the minute. But we're on to the semi-finals of the World Cup, right? We've got to get a little bit excited about it. If you enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, and we can jump into this one. So Argentina last week went on and beat Wales. To be honest, when we looked at the quarterfinals stuff, we did all the previews, last week for the games. All of the games I thought were actually kind of like a bit 50-50. Like I was, oh man, really hard to make a lot of the calls. The two that I felt most confident in were, I said Wales and England to win theirs. And those are the ones I was like, I feel a bit confident in saying that. But the Ireland, New Zealand and the France-South Africa game, I was like, toss a coin. I really don't know which way those ones are going to go. But Argentina beating Wales in an incredibly underwhelming performance by Wales, especially in that second half. And just a professionally held Argentina team doing the things they needed to do, taking the kicks when they came along, and just exploiting those mistakes by Wales. They didn't necessarily need to do anything overly fancy, and they find themselves in a semi-final, and you have to say they were the better team on the day. To be honest, we'll go over a couple of things, because I don't think I gave Argentina necessarily enough credit at the end of that game. I was probably a bit too frustrated by just watching Wales do nothing right. But in terms of Argentina circles, there was quite a very few positive areas. Now, New Zealand put in maybe one of the best performances into a rugby game I've seen ever. That Ireland-New Zealand game blew me away. So Argentina have got a lot stacked against them for this one. But they come into this game with a lot of positives off the back of that game. And having a look at a couple of the stats that went on from that game, taking a look at the breakdown, rucks won, 109 rucks won, and they only lost 2. So a 98% win rate at the rucks, and won double the amount of rucks compared to Wales. That breakdown is going to become important because we saw what New Zealand did against Ireland, so being able to compete that breakdown going to be all important. They also won 6 mauls, but a lot of those mauls coming off the back of lineouts. Talking of lineouts though, lineouts won 10, lost 0, so 100% for them, but also managed to steal 4 of Wales's lineouts. That's a very dominant performance at the lineout, and one that I don't think I was focused on doing the review video for Argentina. So all positive from them. Scrums won 7, lost 0, so 100% on the scrum side of things. And penalties conceded, probably one of the things that I feel like I ping Argentina most personally for. I always kind of expect Argentina to get yellow cards or red cards or give away silly penalties, and they've done it across the World Cup warm-ups and across the World Cup, those little silly penalties. They've got much better though, actually. Against Japan, I think they had like 7. In the quarterfinals, they had 7. And that's good. That international standard is 10. They try and keep below 10. 7 is a really good outcome for them. So a lot of positives going their way as they go in against this New Zealand team, who, of course, Argentina and New Zealand have had some awesome games in the last few years. So I'm really looking forward to this one. In terms of the front row, then Thomas Gaggio, Julian Montoya, and Francisco Gomez Cordella going in this front row. Now that we looked at, that scrummaging 100%. The mauls won, 6 mauls won for Argentina. The defensive maul for them as well. Wales were really struggling a little bit to get that driving maul going somewhere sometimes. So New Zealand will want to be focusing on that forward pack. They might think that the physicality that Argentina do like to bring, the breakdown as well. How many times do we see Julian Montoya get in for a jackal penalty and stuff? So winning the breakdown is going to become very, very important in this game. But luckily for New Zealand, they may have done that against one of the best teams in the world at it in Ireland last week. So big task for Argentina, but the stats backing them up to get into this one as well to look like they can have a positive game. In that lock department, then Guido Petty back in alongside of Lavanini. Again, 100% lineouts won, 4 stolen. The Wales lineout is nowhere near as crisp and as clean as the New Zealand line out. So it's going to be a bit of a different animal for them to face. But I'm looking forward to see that competition get on. And then in that back row, Gonzalez, Kramer, and Facundo Issa once again going in that back row partnership. So no changes to the forward pack at all. They obviously feel confident in that display they put in against Wales, and they hope they can double down against New Zealand. In the halfback partnership, one change coming in this week. Bertrand comes back in alongside of Santiago Carreras. Cubelli, not actually in this game because Bazan Velez is on the bench. So no Cubelli this week. Bertrand taking over the scrum half, who is a player I do like. I'm looking forward to see Bertrand back in the team. Nice to see that Santiago Carreras is still there because he looked like he picked up a bit of a knock as well. I was a little bit concerned he might not actually be in this week, but returning in at 10. So all positive for the Argentinian team. In the centre partnership, Choco Perez once again going in alongside of Lucio Cinti. Again, happy to be reading his name because Choco Perez went off and just never came back and did not look comfortable. And he felt like something dropped off a little bit after he went off. There was a certain physicality that he was bringing off the back of a set piece and just charging at the line. He was making a real nuisance of himself for Wales, as he did in some of the other games for the pool stages. And it really felt like it dropped off when Moroni came on. It didn't bring the same intensity. And I thought it was going to end up being a bit of a weak link for them there. But Moroni managing to step up his game towards the end did managed to hold it out. But nice to see Choco Perez back in this side. And then in that back three, Mateo Carreras, Boffelli and Malia once again taking over the back three. Boffelli last week, I actually thought, I don't know why I thought his kicking was a little bit off. He actually only missed one by the looks of things. Checking out the stats back myself, there was 2 from 2 conversions and 5 from 6 penalties, and you got to remember that Sanchez took a couple of them as well. So Boffelli might have had a slightly better kicking game than I was giving him credit for. In terms of the replacement bench, then we have Augustin Crevi goes in alongside of Sclevi and Bejo. Alemano and Rodrigo Bruni will be your replacement forwards, and then Bazan Velez, Nicolas Sanchez, and Matias Moroni coming on as the replacement backs. Nicolas Sanchez, what an impact that guy can have from the bench. An experienced player came on, took over those kicking duties, slotting them through. Wales knew they were in desperate trouble, and then gets that interception try right at the end. That is the dichotomy of that game, right? You had Sanchez coming on, a bit of an older player now, got experience, a lot of caps, going up against Sam Costello for Wales, trying to run that looping play around. Low on caps, still a young lad, gave him a bit too much room, very telegraph play, well read by Sanchez, and bang, you're away for an easy try and putting the final nail in the coffin of that game. Really nice to see from him. So a lot of positives for this Argentina team. Injuries looking positive. Team going into this one with good momentum. But this New Zealand team, my goodness, what can you say about this team going up against Ireland? I really thought this game was going to go 50-50. I was sat very on the fence during the preview video. Even at the end of the preview video, I didn't know which way to say that game was going to go. I said Ireland. By what did I even say in the preview video? 2, I can't remember. It could have gone either way. New Zealand came out taking this game and just doing New Zealand things, right? They just stepped it up that extra mark. We had a 30 phase, action of play of attack, and then we had a 37 phase of defence from New Zealand with no mistakes as well. That's immense. That's immense things to bring to this game. That's what you want to be seeing from a New Zealand team at top tier, right? Not giving away silly penalties. They did have 2 yellow cards in the game against Ireland, still came away with a win, which, some big positive talk about. But this is a New Zealand team, I think, coming into the World Cup, I don't think a lot of people had a lot of confidence in. I think their performances maybe weren't the best. That game they had against South Africa, which they just got hammered in, I think that rocked them a bit for the France game. I don't think the performance against France in that opening pool stage was the best from New Zealand either. And then across the pool stage, they've been able to build and build and build, and now it feels like they're in full swing. And before this game kicks off, this is a team that I feel to me deserves to be in a final, because that performance last week was just immense. In terms of the New Zealand team then, Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor and Tyro Lomax coming back in. What a formidable front row this is now for New Zealand. They'll feel very confident after that game against Ireland. In the lock department, Sam Whitelock goes in alongside of Scott Barrett. So Brodie Retallick moving to the bench for this one. Which maybe an interesting call. Maybe they just want, you know, an experienced head, given the, you know, the severity of the situation they're in a semi-final. Maybe they, you know, have Sam Whitelock starting this one. I think Brodie Retallick's been doing pretty well, to be fair. So, you know, maybe you could change them out. It's interesting, you know, we did the quarterfinals, we're on to the semi-finals now, and we've still not seen Brodie Retallick and Sam Whitelock starting side by side. You know, I think that experience they've had playing together for so long, you think maybe that could be on the cards, but they've gone for the Sam Whitelock Scott Barrett combo. And then in that back three, Shannon Frizzell, Sam Cane and Ardie Savea, all three of who I think had phenomenal games against Ireland. Sam Cane had some almighty tackles in that game. I think he made 20 tackles by the end of that game, leading from the front as that captain. Ardie Savea just turning over anything he'd get his hands on, got over for a try. Just awesome performances. Shannon Frizzell, workhorse as well. There's some big tasks going on in this New Zealand team, and these three are leading from the front in that regard. In the halfback partnership, Aaron Smith and Richie Mo'unga. Once again, Richie Mo'unga setting up the you know, a fantastic New Zealand try. That little show and go that we know he's capable of. I don't really think we've seen it across this World Cup. New Zealand don't utilise him. I think you see it more when you see him at like the Crusaders. And what he does is like a running 10 and making those charges. So I don't think we see it enough from New Zealand when he plays 10. So I do like when we get to see that little show and go, break through two defenders, get someone on his shoulder, bang, it's a try all day long. Nothing you can do against that. And I really want to hope we get to see a little bit more of that in this game. In the centre partnership, Geordie Barrett back alongside Rieko Ioane. Geordie Barrett arguably saving New Zealand last week, of course, with the that holding up the ball. I think it was Dan Sheehan got held up on his try. Geordie Barrett just dear life holding onto the ball, not letting them score. You know, just chuck your body on the line. That's what you want to see. And then in the back three, Mark Talea comes back in alongside of Will Jordan, and Beauden Barrett retains at 15 as well. So Lester Faingo-Nuku, not in the team for this one, but Mark Talea back in, I think would probably be most people's first choice on that left wing. And if this game is allowed to open up, man, I can see both of these wingers having a bit of a field day in this one. I think the Pumas might have a bit of a tough time holding down this New Zealand team. I think Wales did far too much going up against the forwards and charging through the centre of the pitch. I think the way you get around that Argentina team is spreading it wide and really stretching their defence. I think New Zealand have got some world-class wingers to do just that and really make themselves a bit of a nuisance. And then in the replacements then quickly, Tauki Aho goes in alongside of Tamaiti Williams and Fletcher Newell. Brodie Retallick and Dalton Papali'i will be coming in the replacement forwards, and then Finlay Christie, Damien McKenzie, and Anton Linnett-Brown as your replacement back. So, quick mention for Tamaiti Williams. How nice it to be seeing this lad, this young guy, still low on caps. You know, can be making an appearance in the semi-final of a World Cup. You know, how important is that for like a career development thing? When you think about how young he is now, he might have 2, 3 more World Cups in his career. Getting him started off early on, you know, especially as like a prop as well, you know, how important that could be for him. I really hope we get to see him for a good chunk of time by the end of that game. Big task to come on. He came on against Ireland. I thought he played very well. Doing the same against Argentina, another physical team. I'm really looking forward to seeing him get on this pitch. So how do we see this game going? For me, I struggle to see a lot of teams being able to compete with New Zealand if they put in another performance like we got to see against Ireland last week. It's just such a clean, overall, well-rounded performance. Yep, they had a couple of yellow cards going their way, but, you know, are those cynical enough that maybe you actually ended up stopping scores, or maybe it ended up being worth it for them? If they keep those yellow cards out of this game, they retain that full 15 for the full game, they keep up that breakdown situation as relentlessly as they did against Ireland, I can see New Zealand causing all sorts of nuisance for Argentina. And Argentina, as we have seen throughout the World Cup, they've done much better as it's gone on. But something still resides in this Argentina team that if you put them under pressure and begin to irritate them, they will give away penalties. They will give away silly things. But Argentina have been working on that discipline. They have been doing much better. You know, you talk about that Wales game, 7 penalties is extremely positive for them. So that'll be the area for me for Argentina. If they can keep that penalty count low and they can just keep it defensive. Don't let New Zealand mess you about. Don't let them sort of do these little chip kicks like we got to see against Ireland, you know, a little Beauden Barrett chip kicks over the top and causing all sorts of nuisance. Hold your defensive line, hold it wide, and make sure you're not letting those wingers get around. And there's going to be a lot of reliance on this Argentinian back three in order to cover that field and stop those kicks going over. For New Zealand, As long as they can do that performance again, I've got a lot of faith in this New Zealand team. I've got a weird suspicion this game actually runs away from Argentina. I think maybe that first half may be a bit close. Maybe New Zealand go in 5-8 in the lead at halftime, and then in that second half, I can see the momentum picking up, some of those New Zealand subs coming on and making a bit of an impact. So I'm going to say New Zealand win for this game, and I'm actually going to go by probably more than a lot of people expect. I think when you get to a semi-final, people are thinking like one score sort of deal. I think New Zealand take this one comfortably. I think I'm going to say New Zealand to take this one. I'm gonna say 20. I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna go out there, and I probably need to in terms of catching up with the predict series as well. I've got a feeling this game slips away from Argentina. They're gonna have to rely on that kicker, and we've seen games in the past before where New Zealand kept giving away penalties and Boffelli kept chipping away and getting over there. I think Argentina are gonna have some hard work to get over some tries in this one. The boot from Boffelli, from Sanchez is going to be all important in this game. New Zealand only gave away 10 penalties against Ireland, and 2 of those were, those yellow card penalties. Boffelli needs to be on point. Sanchez needs to be on point. They need to be taking those 3 points at every opportunity that comes up. I've got a feeling Argentina may struggle to get over for tries in this game, maybe from the back of like a driving maul, and they use that physicality they can do. But if New Zealand can just find that same performance that we got to see against Ireland, do it once again, I think Argentina are going to struggle in this one. But there we have it, guys. That's going to be my thoughts on the game. Make sure you drop yours down in the comment section, as well as your own score predictions, because it's fun to have a read through what other people have to say. Of course, this game is actually kicking off on Friday evening over here in the UK, so don't get yourselves caught out by waiting for the weekend. It is a Friday evening game, this one, to get us started off in the semi-finals to find out who our first finalist is for the Rugby World Cup. I hope you've all enjoyed this one today, guys. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.